Hello, everyone. Welcome to the North Carolina Climate Justice Collective inaugural Hello, everyone. Film Fest. This celebration of independent filmmaking, welcome, uplifting of community to the North Carolina voices. This virtual festival is based on CJC's 4Rs framework and showcases content captured with a mobile phone. The festival will feature submissions of our finalists in each of three categories. Our theme is winning the world we want toward a just, regenerative, ecologically vibrant world. That is a mouthful in itself. These submissions were representations of the world each artist wants and the things we have to consider in order to make the world we want possible. We're glad that you have joined us today. And before we get started with our finalists, what we want to do right now is tell you a little bit more about CJC. In order to do that, what we want to do is we want to be able to introduce you to some very special people. And that is Connie Leeper, Jody Lassiter, the co-founders of the Climate Justice Collective. Ms. Connie and Ms. Jody, we'd love for you, Connie, talk about CJC.
Yeah, Jody, I'll start talking a little bit about CJC. Just for context, we got started around 2013. And Jody and I, as justice activists, as environmental justice activists, was learning a lot about the climate, about climate change. And so we were making the rounds at all of the organizations types of meetings to really talk about what climate change is, how it is such a threat, such a crisis, that's facing the world. And here in North Carolina, one of the things that Jody and I found was missing was a lot of the folk who were talking about climate change at the time were folk who did not have to worry about kitchen table issues. The emphasis was on a lot of science. It was on a lot of conservation. The images that we saw were emaciated polar bears, and it didn't talk a lot about people. And it definitely didn't talk a lot about the people who are first and worst impacted by the harms of climate change. And we call that the justice lens. So the Climate Justice Collective was born out of the need to address the blind spots of the big green climate change landscape that was mostly, upper middle class white people led by men and led by scientists. And we don't have a problem with that. The problem we had was that the blind spots was missing a lot. And so we formed the North Carolina Climate Justice Collective to stand in the gap as being a multiracial, intergenerational movement ecosystem. And we wanted to shift the cultural paradigm. We wanted to turn our society away from destruction and toward more equitable, earth honoring, inclusive community building. So using popular education and cultural organizing, we address the root causes of climate change and plant the seeds of a life-sustaining, regenerative society. We build grassroots power, we develop movement infrastructure, and we align with frontline struggles. And we are aware that climate change is not only the existential crisis that are facing Black, Indigenous, and people of color and low wealth white people, but we know that it is absolutely a crisis that's impacting all the other crises that we are faced with. Would you like to add anything about who we are, Jody?
Well, I think you covered that beautifully, Connie, as you always do. So it's wonderful to be here with y'all. Jody Lassiter, the other co-founder and co-director of the Climate Justice Collective. And I'll just say, I guess one piece, which is that, as a grassroots movement ecosystem, we're doing this from the place of, this is a very diverse ecosystem, a very diverse set of approaches. And we'll talk about that just a bit when we touch on the 4 Rs. Or do you want me to get into that now, Dasan?
No.
Yeah, go ahead and do that. All right. So the 4 Rs approach, since y'all know, this is the 4 Rs Film Festival. The 4 Rs approach came out of what Connie and I were seeing back in the day and sometimes still now, of a lot of division inside of our movements, right? We saw a lot of folks very deeply, passionately engaging on the issues Connie just described, but doing it in a way that unfortunately often worked against each other rather than with each other. So the notion of the 4 Rs is to say there are these 4 dimensions of strategy that when we align across those strategies in an intentional way, we experience actual transformation. Social transformation becomes possible rather than just the pendulum of social change here and then there and then here. So those 4 Rs, I want to start with the Reimagine R because that's really where this film festival sort of roots itself, right? This process of imagining what is the world we want. And how do we communicate that vision in a compelling way through the arts and also through other traditions that really get people's hearts engaged? That if we root there, then those other Rs become a lot more possible because they're rooted in that strong, shared, compelling vision. Then we move into recreate, which is what are the test kitchens, the models where we actually get to bring aspects of that vision into reality. And those are the 2 Rs that are usually kind of forgotten about oftentimes in movement space as essential. And then the other 2 Rs were most of us who've been doing any kind of activism or involved in any way with social change efforts are pretty familiar with: reform, working within the system, and resist, working against the system to really identify what are the structural harms and how do we have to stand against those through collective action. So our hope is through having events like this that folks can see the intersections of those Rs and also bring Reimagine to how we do reform, resist, and recreate.
Mhm.
Thank you so much for that. Once again, that was Connie Leeper and Jody Lassiter, our co-founders and co-directors for the North Carolina Climate Justice Collective. Um, so what we want to do now is we are going to move forward in looking at our very first category. I'm so excited about this. And that category is words spoken. Now, this category is particularly for video content featuring performed text. And that text could be songs, which are sung or rhymed, poetry, monologues. But this is a very distinct category because it focuses on the words. And we had some powerful, powerful submissions in this category. And so we're going to move through our top 3 finalists. Our first finalist is Boris Blues Rogers. For his submission, Blues notes that this is about the idea that AI could possibly replace the human creative, and that is actually impossible.
In the 80s, the best we had when I was a lad was a speak and spell. This squarey handheld idea from Texas Instruments was a tool to teach us, well, how to spell and speak. And although the speech was like super robotic, we got it. It walked us through the phonics. It was, at the time, a technological marvel. Then there was Teddy Ruxpin, a teddy bear before a TED that talked to us, walked us through our feelings. And this world we now live in is a future one that technically takes some tech to get through to help us prospect our golden ideas, to help us mine for the nuggets that live in our mind, waiting to be unearthed and given as a gift, an idea for a better humanity. This brave new world we live in is not an artificial one. It is still tangled and tethered to human connection, still hardwired to the desire to create and survive, to push to push imaginations and thrive. AI could mean we are all in or alive inside, and while the idea of robots are cool, nothing makes the temp drop like cool creatives and innovatives improving life one amazing idea at a time. So domo arigato, Mr. Roboto, but we still have a lot of human left to do. So much breath to breathe into our art, our dance, our weird ideas, our daycare and healthcare providers, civil servants, soldiers serving, blue-collar craftsmen and women still providing a living connection. The idea of the human voice or laugh or heartbeat won't ever be obsolete. Our future will always be met with the idea, as sang by the Stylistics, a group of human crooners who harmonized about our future. The idea was this, that people make the world go round.
That is Boris Blues Rogers. Our next finalist in this particular category is Brianna Howard. Brianna says about her submission, this rap speaks about the injustice we see and live through every day. It speaks to the festival theme, winning the world we want, by calling out the systems that keep holding us back while pushing for a world where justice isn't just a word, it's a reality. It's about fighting for a future where Black and brown people aren't targeted, silenced, or killed just for existence. A world where we don't have to beg to be seen, heard, or protected. If we're really trying to build something better, we have to start by telling the truth, and that's exactly what this piece does.
Begging to not be killed, and we got people saying, but is looting more important than the cops is killing us? The lie you like to say is that we all have equal rights, but how can that be true when we're still fighting for our life? How is kneeling on the field a sign of disrespect when we're only trying to breathe and y'all keep kneeling on our neck? Our money, our schools, and so much more. We're expected to succeed when we have less and you have more, and we can and we must, but it's hard. See, it's really hard to trust the system when that same system don't trust us. If you say you can't see color, then I say you can't see me. It's a pattern in them colors that we're begging you to see. The pattern that you'll notice from the color of our skin is that the Black and brown people never really seem to win. We pay you to protect us, and yet you still neglect us. I just want to know the reason. Is our melanin so threatening we can't sleep without the cops busting in our homes, shooting first, questions later? Rest in peace, Breonna Taylor. Is it safe to even go outside and take a jog? When I'm jogging outside, I'm always thinking of a mod, and can I pay with cash instead of using credit cards? Cause the cops might be called because they think that I'm a fraud. These are all true stories. What's our reason to lie? Floyd said he couldn't breathe. He had to prove that and die.
Yes, that is Brianna Howard. Powerful. And our next and last finalist in this category is Esma Olajuwon. Esma says, my submission envisions a world rooted in childlike innocence, one where the simple joys of nature remain untouched by the devastating effects of climate change. I long for a world where stepping outside feels safe and invigorating, not overshadowed by the visible and tangible consequences of global warming. Through my work, I call on my community to pay closer attention to the earth in our own city, to recognize the urgent need for care, restoration, and sustainability. By imagining a just, regenerative, and ecologically vibrant world, I hope to inspire action towards preserving the beauty and balance of our environment.
What is the word for things you can't see but know are there? Like wind, or like taxes. I remember being a little girl. I don't remember the sun, but I remember always being under it. I remember all my favorite activities being free. I remember the rap battles on the front yard under the shade of that magnolia tree. I remember the yo mama jokes even though we were all related. The apples tasting better than anything store-bought from that one tree that we accidentally grew. I remember the water hose water parks. I even remember the field day, kickball injuries, the black eye medals, the grill and popsicles, and that one thing that the youngest cousin did to get us all in trouble and how it was all worth it. I remember the hours, the running in and out. I remember not letting my mom's good air out. I remember the air being good. I remember running still and running 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 for so long and so fast that at some point it just became flying. I have no proof that any of this happened. Not a chipped tooth, a scraped ankle, nothing. I can't see it anymore, but I know it's there. Memories so vivid, my skin remembers. But I can't see it in these days. These days make me think I dreamed the whole thing, that I just imagined a better place. I don't know how I was able to be outside for so long. If this is the same outside, how did I last in this tiring kind of heat? I'm more raisin than young now, but I was a child once. Although I can't see it, I know I was. I remember. I would do anything to get that kind of planet again. I want my kids to live on a planet like that. I need to have those kinds of days again. I believe I could have those days again. Although I can't see it. I have to believe. And I'm sure I am not alone. So I got you. And you got me. Because all we got is this earth and this time.
That's Esma Elijah. And so now, in this category for words spoken, we can now find out who our winners are. Our honorable mention in this category is Boris Blues Rogers. Our runner-up in this category is Brianna Howard. And our winner in this category is, of course, Esma Olajuwon. We want to congratulate all of those who submitted in this category, our finalists, and we're so excited to be able to have access to this. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take a moment to hear from Connie. I'm going to keep combining your names. It seems like the entire time. From Connie and Jody once again, as we learn a little bit more about the work that CJC does and a little bit more about this theme. So we're going to welcome.
Thanks, Dasan. First, I want to say a little bit about what we do. We started a little bit about who we are. And to just kind of summarize what we do is we weave and connect the dots on the impacts of climate change on our everyday lives and the issues we care about in real time. We are building a movement home for those living in communities that are first and worst impacted by polluting industries, extreme man-made weather disasters made worse by corporate greed, domination, and outright disregard for environmental injustices and health disparities. on those most vulnerable. We fight back. We stand up. We base build through our programmatic work. One of those programmatic works is an apprenticeship program that we call Winning the World We Want. And I'm going to say a little bit about where the theme came from. And then, Jody, you can talk a little bit about the work itself. No one is coming to save us. No one is going to save us from the injustices that we face but ourselves. The cultural bearer and poet June Jordan has said about organizing and activism that we are the ones we're waiting for. We are the ones we are waiting for. It'll change from the status quo of harm and hatred, bad policy after bad policy, our current slippery slope into chaos and injustice. If we're going to shift from that, we need both a vision and strategic skills building and organizing to claim what the kind of world is that we want. That starts at the local community level. While we fight the bad, we have also got to work hard on the good and the justice that makes that possible. So you ask, well, what is W4A in terms of the Climate Justice Alliance work? Jody, why don't you tell them?
Delighted to. So the Winning the World We Want apprenticeships, we call W4A, right? It's 4 W's and then 1 A at the end with apprenticeships. That is a year-long experience of immersion and community organizing for folks who are involved in our resiliency organizing hubs, who have been doing organizing for a long time, or maybe this is new to them, but either way, want to have that kind of immersive hands-on training experience, winning the world they want, organizing toward that end in their own communities, and being able to focus on particular aspects of our, our need to address climate justice issues. So there's 3 different tracks. The first track is our community organizing focus on energy justice. So it's an energy justice organizing track. The second track is our food justice track, and that specifically is about training for BIPOC folks in permaculture and developing what we call climate victory gardens and a neighborhood-based strategy around food security. And the third is, how do we get to this regenerative economy if we can't figure out how to get a lot more worker-owned community cooperatives going? So it's a cooperative business track. And all 3 of those, the energy justice focus, the food justice focus, and the cooperative business focus, come together inside of our resiliency organizing hubs. And because we have our civic and community director, Ms. Crystal Suggs here, who coordinates our resiliency organizing hubs, I'm going to see if she wants to have the last word on this piece. Ms. Suggs, do you want to say anything about this? Not to put you on the spot, but just a little bit, if you want to.
Yes, and thank you, and I do appreciate this opportunity to join in. In our resiliency organizing hubs across the state, we organize and we support communities or organizations that are already deeply invested and involved in their communities to enhance their programs and platforms. So we bring in our work to help highlight the work that they do, and we create this ecosystem that moves across the state and helps us just bloom more beautifully in our work.
Thank you both. Thank you all so much. We really appreciate being able to help us better understand this category, this approach, the work that CJC does, and it grounds this Indie Film Fest in a very particular way. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to move into our next category. Yes, we're going to move into our next category. And that category is picture this. Now, in this particular category, the focus is on photographs. All of these photographs were taken with a mobile phone. These slideshows offer us glimpses into the artist's thoughts and ideas about the world that we want. Now, these slideshows can include text animation and narration, and they can even be set to music. Once again, we got some really, really amazing submissions in this category. And I'm really, really excited to share our finalists with you. Our first finalist is Nathaniel Terrell. Nathaniel says, "This is a strong message of unity, a long shot idea of a collective not for dominance or profit or to rule, but a unified mind for a better world. At its core, this piece is a spoken word video to encourage."
Peace, beloved. Words can heal. Words can also kill. Guard what enters your mind and what comes out of your mouth. I pray and work for healing, love, and prosperity to rise, multiply, and permeate all over, connecting east, west, north, and south. Freedom is an undying commitment. Empathy is an ally to change. Every leader needs a cause. In spite of all the negativity we hear, feel, and see, it is important that you understand that there is a great purpose to your existence. Division is the nemesis to unity. We cannot stand or grow divided. A lack of understanding has no regard for compassion. Fearful rhetoric and dangerous agendas keep us separated. Ignorance is the bloodline to hatred, and hatred of self or others will imprison us in a dark state that I abhor. Circumstance and experiences shapes one's attitude, but belief in oneself defines aptitude. Through all the pain, frustration, vexation, disappointment, prayers, and hopes for a better tomorrow, accept that feelings change. Keep moving, elevating, and producing beyond whatever adversity and or opposition you encounter. Stay positive, be safe, do well. One love.
That is Nathaniel Terrell. Our next finalist is Simona James. Simona notes, "Each morning we answer a call, the universe inviting us to awaken, see, feel, and care. My video is a journey through that daily awakening, a reminder to look up, step outside, and embrace the world in its fullness. It envisions a just, regenerative, and ecologically vibrant future where our days are spent immersed in nature and deep connection with one another. Honoring the earth and all its creatures, we can create this world one mindful step at a time."
Pick up the phone, open your eyes, come out from your shell, and look up at the world in amazement. It's you, taking this walk, embarking on this journey, being unafraid because you've prepared in front of the lights for this stage of life. From little me to big you, I want to take you on a journey and share with you the things I've seen, felt, and heard, all from the lens of my phone. Whether we are traveling by car or maybe we're in a boat, traveling afar, I want you to look out. I want you to look out and realize that I am there with you taking this journey, seeing sights unimaginable, but we do it in stride. Don't you worry. The TV's off. We're done with that programming. Even in its glory, it's okay to sometimes start afresh. So have a seat. You are amongst friends. It's important that we get this thing right, that we see the world for what it is and all of its muster and all of its glory. Even in times when we need to light a candle for those who have been fallen too soon, environmentally, we still stand strong and tall, poised to teach the youth to use the creativity around them. Thankful for those stewards who care enough to clean their environment as they go. I am here for all of it, bearing witness and impeding upon you the importance of embracing, looking around and seeing other creatures who inhabit this earth alongside us. We see, we sit by the river, we love more, take time to dance and allow our inner child to release themselves from bondage. We embrace nature in all of its forms because every life has purpose. And when time gives way, I applaud and celebrate you in every way.
All right. And then our next finalist is Alex Weiss. About this submission, Alex says, my emphasis on this project is appreciating and maintaining the diversity of the world we live in. And our winners are, our honorable mention submission in this category is from Nathaniel Terrell. Our runner-up in this category is Alex Weiss. And then our first place in this category is Simona James. Now, we have a wonderful pleasure because Alex is here with us, and I would love to take a moment for Alex to say hello to all of you and talk a little bit about very briefly about his work and just the reason for being drawn to submitting to this contest. Alex?
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, and some of you I do know. Jody, Connie. I'm meeting you for the first time, Dasan. Anyway, the reason for submitting, I've been composing and arranging and writing and traveling for over 50 years. And I just like to my work to live. And when I looked at the title for the submissions, there seemed to be that's kind of what I write about, and what my music gears towards is protecting the environment and celebrating the diversity in this world, the earth, the mountains, the valleys, the desert, and all the different people. And so when I put this together, it happened to be, well, it utilizes my various abilities as a multi-instrumentalist, as a composer. And since no one has ever hired me to do a soundtrack, I decided I'd do a soundtrack and make my own movie. And that's how that came. It came upon a time where actually I wrote it on my horn. I'm a horn player first, and I had a hernia operation, and I couldn't play my horn. I couldn't lift. I couldn't do any of my physical activities. So I taught myself. I transposed it onto the recorder, which is what you hear through that piece. And because I couldn't do much, so I just sat down with all those photos from around the world and my travels and the music, and I put it all together. And then I went into a good studio. And we had the ability to phase in and phase out the photos, and we actually performed that live in the studio. Milan, my wife, and I, and the engineer was the bass player. I think that, is there any questions you have about that? Anybody?
No, thank you so much, and we really appreciate being able to have access to this piece. So thank you so much, Alex.
And I'm honored to have it out there in the world to inspire. Thank you.
Thank you. So now what we want to do is we're going to bring Miss Connie and Miss Jody back again, because we want to take an opportunity to continue to learn a little bit more about this Winning the World We Want, this W4A work. And so if y'all can talk a little bit more about who the work is with, and of course, who the work is for.
Connie, you jumping in on that? No. Okay. So, well, the work, first and foremost is with those communities that are first and worst impacted by environmental racism and climate impacts and economic disinvestment and so on. And these are the communities that we've been organizing with since 2013, as Connie mentioned. These are the communities that are the anchoring organizations of our resiliency organizing hubs, which Ms. Crystal was talking about. And these are the communities who are the heart and the backbone of the Climate Justice Collective. So certainly it's with all of those communities and grassroots organizations that are a part of CJC. And also, it's with all kinds of different allied organizations, both local, statewide, and national, as well, that, we consider our big movement family. So we're in a constant process of learning from and with each other and sharing resources and, doing the principled struggle of finding alignment in our strategies in this moment, because to really win this world we want, We need to be in a deep ongoing process, not only of visioning through this reimagining work we're doing together now, but also just those hard conversations about what is possible, where we can really put our boots on the ground, and where do we need to have a longer strategy that may not be doable in this moment. So we're in this ongoing process with a lot of different people and a lot of different groups in terms of the width. And the for is, of course, we're doing this for ourselves, for our own communities, our own families, our own peoples, for the planet as a whole, and for many, many, many people who are not a part of our movement ecosystem and probably never will be, because we're serious. We're trying to win the world we want for everybody, right? We're trying to win a world that is not just survivable, but is rooted in love and connection and mutual respect and mutual thriving. So ultimately, everybody wins. If we win the world we want, everybody wins. That's where we're landing on how this concept of W4A really lives inside of our radical imagination.
And I'll add, and the reason why I wanted you to go first, Jody, is because Jody can tend to be a little humble about her big brain. And this whole training apprenticeship program was Jody's idea. And I was just like the little German Shepherd in my dad's car that just keep doing like this. That's all I had to do, was to agree with it, because it made total sense. And it's important to name that this apprenticeship, comes with a stipend. And the stipend, isn't so much about having a way to bribe people into taking, the apprenticeship program, but it is about the reality of not all of us who come from marginalized communities have the extra resources. Even though we might have the time, we may not have the extra resources to be able to participate in a lot of things. And we recognize that at the collective, as well. But I just want to appreciate Jody for creating the apprenticeship program and us raising the money so that it would make it possible for people to be able to participate, given all of the other impacts of things going on in their lives. So that's why I did not say anything at first. I wanted to wind this up, acknowledging Jody as the brainchild for this training apprenticeship program. Over. I am complete.
Thank you, Miss Connie. Well, certainly I want to acknowledge you and Miss Crystal and Dasan. I mean, this is really a shared vision, shared process, as the CJC team. So I just want to, say thought partnership matters. And we have if y'all can't tell, we have an amazing powerhouse team among those that you see here today. So thank you.
Thank you both. Thank you both so much for providing that insight and for that deeper understanding. It is a powerful, powerful program, and it has created an immense impact. All right. So now we have one more category, and that category is our change in motion. This category is extra special because it involves edited video content. This is where we had folks who submitted videos that represent various interpretations of the theme. And we moved about all of the submissions that we received. And I'm really, really excited about our finalists. Our first finalist in this category is Georgia Rude. Georgia says, this submission reflects my personal connection to the theme, Winning the World We Want. Through my poem and imagery of North Carolina's natural beauty, I share my journey of falling in love with this land, the mountains that welcomed me, the rivers that carried me, and the forests that became my sanctuary. Each scene in the video mirrors my experience of finding home here, of learning how the places we move through shape us and teach us through a series of recordings captured on various hikes I took. in 2024. It is a love letter to the landscapes that inspire me and a plea to protect what gives us so much life and meaning. I want to honor both the joy and heartbreak of witnessing the changes to our environment. This piece is a way of mourning what we've lost, celebrating what remains, and hoping for what we can still save if we choose to act with love and care.
When I first moved to North Carolina, my first view was from the hike down to the Cascade waterfalls. I had seen the cities, yes. I had moved into my dorm. I had seen mountains before, but I grew up in the foothills, and here they have great green, hairy beasts where I had only known knolls. I climbed to the top of that waterfall, and I screamed my name to those giants, and they called back, "You are home." Some carry their home with them, and picture frames and hometown bands, but it wasn't until I ran 300 miles from my land that I learned that my fast friends and secrets whisper to the trees that surround where I'm from, carry me to where I'll be. It is not placid, it is stuck in my shoes, and it's telling me to run. In August, I went on an odyssey, 5 days to see the great nature of this state I've called my home, and it turned my feet into wings as we flew from Boone to Asheville to the Outer Banks in a little white school bus. We rummaged through creeks, ran wild with currents, and studied rivers older than I can comprehend. Then October came. There is much to be said about hope. There is more to be said about community, but I cannot speak to all this pain while sitting here in my intact home, my mother a call away, my friends safe and near to me. So I will scream to the voices that have gone silent, to the businesses that churn and tear and do not care and cannot see this land that ties us all together. But it is a beautiful sight, this land. And though I yell, my voice always catches, for it is not out of anger but persisting love, love of a land to call my own, love of a land that has accepted me. And it is with this love, I hope you'll share it, that I will begin to run again, wild from the mountains and down to the rivers. Nature will heal, but we must hold its hand, stand along beside it ever so stumbling, mourn and rage and love and work to protect it.
That was Georgia Root. Our next submission is from Quentin Talley. And Quentin says that my submission is on the regenerative power of water.
Been spinning on my axis, reflecting on the turmoil I see, rejecting chaos for peace, recalibrating things, take a moment to rethink what flows continuously, bends and adapts to its surroundings. All things on this tilting thing needed to survive. Take a drink, it's alive. Part hydrogen mixed with oxygen. Fresh, yet sometimes salty. Water is our everything. When it's clean, pollutant-free. So I slow down in theory. Put hypothesis to the test down by the sea. Been spinning on my axis. So I let this world be. Recalculated the theorem, stay on the downbeat. Lay thine burdens down and cast out doubt so I could breathe more easy, smoke and small free. We free, it stays lingering, a reminder to let the air Soak it in. Don't let the chaos take seed and throw you off your axis. Test your patience. You gotta keep balance. So I took a rest down by the sea. Let the waves wash over me. See, since this globe is 71% sea, now you gotta plant your feet. Remember where you stand, then multiply 29% of the times whatsoever you land. And the total equals the sum of we looking over the horizon, seeing the infinite possibilities, looking over the horizon to see. Sometimes you gotta focus on you and let this world be. And that's where you'll find me, soaking up the sun, re-energizing thine being. See, now I'm winning. The world we want unapologetically. If you need anything, I'll be sitting on the pier as I peer over my fear, thinking about our peers. That's where you'll find me, near the Atlantic. Call me Otis, sitting on the dock, ready. This ain't wasting your time. This is grounding. And as the sun sets and darkness begins to cover things, my soul is rejuvenating. The moon is calling. Yes, the tide is changing. Finally finding me. Here you'll find me. I'll be around somewhere on the beach.
We are the late nights. We are everything your mama told you to stay clear of. We are the keepers of free thought, First Amendment. We know how to fall into the groove, even when our days are filled with blues. And if you want us to, we'll be around. If you want me to follow through, I'll be around. If you want me to, I'll be around. If you want
That was Quentin Talley. And then our final submission in this category is from Brianna LaFrazier.
Sun slowly slipping out of sky, glitter shimmying across the waters, a wooden dock built into ships. We sail at dusk, as far as the imagination can see, as pirates will roam the seas. Black sails and crooked teeth, skulls and bones forget the gold, a sea of grins, my sons, my friends, load questions into cannons. Our mouths are filled with wreckage. We talk of classroom conversations with holes in them, of textbooks with missing pages. In my eyes, they fish for ease. I trawl for peace, knowing our children will inhabit this world, my children. Know the crooks and the cracks of capitalism, how grandma's hands became my own, how they may receive the same inheritance, the American dream, a devilish sea, a mighty debt to drown in most days. I do not know how to talk to my sons of war, and most days I must. Here, there are no mountains of plastic debris, no bodies drifting or bullets hissing, no warplanes leaving a rubble in our belly at war, leave shrapnel in our conversation, so we roll in and out of reality, past smashed skulls and raised flags. With heavy chests, our tears splash. I am teaching them how to pull the anchors from their illusions, how to taste the salt and know it is salt, for the rum is always gone because the water is always poisoned, as is the food, as is the music, as are the people. I do not know how to see a Palestinian child without seeing my own children, so I teach my sons they have more than one brother. I've not learned how to see the women in Sudan and not see my sisters, so they have more than one auntie. I've not learned how to use my phone without cutting my fingers on blood diamonds from the Congo. Have not learned how to see their classrooms and not see a jail cell or a detention center or a people being dragged out of a neighborhood or a country when the systems we live in make monsters of us. I teach my children how to see the sickness. No matter how murky the truth gets, it will not be swallowed in the trenches of our guilt as daylight fades. I teach them how to pull their bodies out of a war zone. And this is our underwater march, a rebellious two-step with a million ancestors at our backs. Teaching the truth is a revolution. It's how conversations make it to the classroom and the boardroom and become a living thing. Because to become a living thing in a dying world is a revolution. Family is a revolution. Friendship is a revolution. Love is the revolution, and we are revolution.
Some amazing, amazing submissions. So in this category, honorable mention is Georgia Rude. Our runner-up is Quentin Talley. And our winner in this category is Brianna LaFrazier. And wow, guess what? Our winner in this category is here. And so we'd like to take a moment to allow for her to talk a little bit more about herself and to talk a little bit more about what drew her to put this together and submit to this category. So without further ado, y'all please, Brianna LaFrazier.
Hello, everybody. I love everything that has been shared today. So thank you for allowing me to be a part of this space. This piece really is born from a lot of things. Reimagination is one. It was during a time I had lost my job, so I was very stressed. Hence a lot of the things I was talking about. But it was also kind of looking at it from another angle, like I was getting to spend time with my children, and they actually helped me make the videos too. So being able to include them in this creation and just looking at the world and having conversations with them about the truth of everything, about where I was in life, about the way the world is, and then just having conversations with my kids about the world we want to create and be a part of too. So I hope that explains the video.
Yeah. And tell everybody a little bit more about your artistry and the things that you do.
I am a creator. I write poetry and getting into novel writing as well, which is exciting. I'm just a writer and a creative in general. Um, I do various things. I'm actually in a play with a team of poets, the Locked and Lotus Slam team. We're doing a production in September, which is really exciting. It's poetry that is now coming to life on stage. So I feel like I do a lot of things. I just didn't expect to talk right now. So my anxiety is like through the roof.
You're doing
So I probably
wonderful.
skipped a lot of things, but at the end of the day, I love writing. I love this world, community, and collective spaces, and um, seeing how art kind of speaks to that. And it tells our stories. Like at the end of the day, I feel like our stories are in everything, the patterns, and I like to point that out in my writing. So thanks.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right. So we have one more thing that we need to understand today, and to do that, before we close out with the festival, we want to bring Connie and Jody back again to talk about the role of love in our movement.
Thank you, Dasan. So when I think about the role of love in our movement, for me, it is absolutely about grace for ourselves, and grace for others. For me, love prevents bitterness, and it really helps me when I go negative and internalize, different things. And my love of myself helps me not to buy into those negative internalized messages that we can sometimes do from the dominant culture. It makes it possible for me and a lot of us to absolutely practice what we call at CJC revolutionary joy. And we have to have joy despite not always having the external things to celebrate outside of our communities of practice. And for me, love counters a lot of the hate and domination that we are experiencing as environmental climate justice movement. So it's about grace for me. Jody?
Well, Brianna, I think you said it so beautifully in your piece. Love is the revolution and we are the revolution. We don't have revolutions that are truly transformative without love at the center. I do believe that fully. And I think all of these different pieces that we've been able to experience together today are rooted in love of people and places that we are celebrating and also that we're seeing or experiencing unthinkable harm. And so that urge to protect and defend and that urge to connect and be in solidarity, all of that is love in action. That I think is really the taproot of our movement, any movement. That is about justice. And I'm reminded of Dr. King's quote, which I'm going to pull up here because I want to give it justice. So, power at its best is love implementing the demands of justice. And justice at its best is power correcting everything that stands against love. So, making that connection between love and justice, I think, is also really what we're about and how we think about organizing and why we organize and how we organize and how we keep organizing in the way we do, even in the face of so much hatred and fear and effort to divide us. We've got to just keep coming back to our love. Turning it back to you, Dasan, or also opening it up. Maybe Miss Crystal wants to weigh in on this. I don't know.
Well, thank you both. Thank you so much. Yes, love is so important in this movement, and the more that we can move in it and embody it and recognize it, and also give ourselves permission for it and extend it, the deeper we can grow, the better we can connect, and the more we can really build that groundswell that we need to impact change. So I thank you both for that. All right. We now have one final category, one last set of awards that we want to give out today, and those are our special awards. We have two awards to give out. The first award we want to give is our staff pick. And this staff pick is the submission that our staff thought stood out and resonated deeply. Our staff pick is from Jonathan Brown. Jonathan says that there's so much life inside of you. You just have to open your heart to find it.
In a past life, you were a monarch butterfly, always on the move, only pause to roost for a night or two. Never learned to be still. So in the life after that, no more sudden flight. In your next go-round, you turned into a sloth. You would learn patience at all cost, but you still spent too much time in the trees. So in your next life, you were destined to be below ground. You became an ant. This time around, your mission was to become industrious and work in tandem with others. You were supposed to learn and understand how to be in sync, how to anticipate what the group thinks before they think it. But you hated collaboration. You couldn't stand not standing out. You wanted to shine. So in the next life, you became a traffic light. And you were so unnoticed, only glanced at by motorists. It seemed mundane at first, but then it occurred to you that you would become a part of the setting. You would finally learn how to observe instead of project. You no longer had to be a being, you were now a thing. And all you had to do was stand still. Being a traffic light was like being a fly on the wall of an anthill. There was something familiar about your purpose in this version of life, but you were canceled. A storm with a name came. That hurricane picked you from your wire like a grape from the vine, and you landed on your side a quarter mile away. You might become a human in the next life if you have been a good traffic light in this one. And you will come back as a human again and again and again. And when you finally get it right, when you figure out the secret balance of compassion and forgiveness, you will die in peace and move on. And then you will come back as the ocean. And at first, you will feel really important. After all, the tide is your breath, and you cover most of the earth. But alone, you don't tell the depth of the whole story, only your small part of it. Look at all the life inside of you. Put all of your heart in it. And look at all the life inside of you. Put all of your heart in it. And look at all the life inside of you.
And then what we have a submission from Nick Corman. And Nick Corman's submission is our best of festival. It is the submission that got the highest overall scores from our judges.
We win the world we want by continuing the work of those who sacrificed. We need restoration in the worst way. And for those that need reminders, here in Carolina is where many seeds for the environmental justice movement were planted in the first place. So we win the world we want by saluting our movement OGs, the Wayne Mosleys, Dolly Burwells, Jocelyn McKissicks, and countless others who laid it on the line in Warren County to fight against illegal dumping and harmful PCBs. I may not be the Lorax and speak for the trees, but we win the world we want when we start to respect it. I'm smart enough to know that I'm of the earth even though I walk above it. There's so many people who want to rule the world when there's not enough people here to love it. So that's where we come in. In the world that we win, love, empathy, and compassion influence how we move. We win the world that we want by understanding there's no scam and a Green New Deal. We knew that we had work to do when the King of Pop told us that the world needed to heal. We understood that there was a fight that needed to be won back in 1971 when Marvin asked, how much more abuse from man can our mothers stand? We win the world we want because we understand that power concedes nothing without a demand. So we demand a world where climate justice is the standard and not a choice. A a world where the voices of the vulnerable are not choked by pollution, a world where black and brown folks don't get up their hopes and waste their votes on politicians that would prefer for them to live out their days in cancer alleys because of a strong corporate lobby. We demand a world where we are healthy in mind, spirit, and body, a world where we're in a position to prosper and live prolifically, a world where our leaders are hungry for harmony and rule the land with hope and humility. We demand a world where our environment does not come with medical predispositions based on our socioeconomic status or conditions. We win the world that we want when we lean into community. We will win the world that we want when we operate with truth and trust. And y'all, we will win the world that we want because we simply must.
And that is our best fest. That is our slate of offerings for our inaugural 4Rs Indie Film Fest. We want to thank you so much for joining us for this festival. We appreciate all of the support, all of the responses, because it helped us highlight, nurture, and support the immense creative power across our communities. Today, you came to bear witness to the wisdom, insight, and brilliance that exists, and that means so much. Your participation allows CJC to hold space for collective visioning and ongoing discourse about the world we want to live in. To keep up and stay connected to the North Carolina Climate Justice Collective, we ask that you please follow us on Instagram. Follow the North Carolina Climate Justice, NC Climate Justice, NC Climate Justice. You can also find us on Threads under the same NC Climate Justice. You can also look for the North Carolina Climate Justice Collective on Facebook, NC Climate Justice Collective on Facebook, or you can visit our website at ncclimatejustice.info. And of course, please subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can stay abreast of any new content that we produce. Thank you once again. And this has been the North Carolina Climate Justice Collective's 4Rs Indie Film Fest.
And I'd like to say thank you to you, Dasan, as our cultural director, the brainchild of this actual film festival. And let's give a round of applause for the amazing Dasan Ahanu.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Connie. I appreciate that. To everyone out there watching, to our artists who are here, this is not possible without all of the efforts of the CJC staff. And once again, we hope that this is not the last time that you engage with CJC. And we definitely hope that we will get